Welcome back to another episode of During Bible Study Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kitts. Today we've reached the point of a powerful conclusion of our four-part series, David at the Battlefield. So far, in part 1, David obeyed the voice of the Father. Second part, he stood firm in the face of doubt. The third part, he rejected what didn't fit and chose what God had proven. And now, in part 4, it's time for the battle. This message is called Victory in the Valley because David didn't wait on Goliath, he ran towards him. Let's walk through this valley together. Point 1. Don't wait for your enemy. Run towards it and fight. 1 Samuel 17:48 says, "And it shall come to pass, when the Philistine rose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hastened and ran towards the army to meet the Philistine." David didn't flinch. He didn't second guess. He didn't inch forward. He ran. He took the fight to the enemy. He charged into a place everyone else was afraid to go. Let that sink in. When you know God is with you, you don't wait for fear to find you. You confront it head on. And remember, the rest of Israel was cowering in the hills. They were scared. They even rebuked David for wanting to fight the Philistine. David wasn't afraid because of who he had inside him. The second point, faith over form. David didn't have a sword. He wasn't military trained. He didn't wear army. But he had a weapon the enemy didn't expect. Faith sharpened by obedience. As he ran, he reached into his pouch, grabbed a single smooth stone, and slung it with all the confidence of a man that knew that the battle was the Lord's. 1 Samuel 17:49 tells us, "And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, and he fell upon the face of the earth." One shot, one strike, one word from God can flatten any giant. David had already practiced and known for years how accurate and how good a sling could be. He had used it in the field watching his father's sheep. As we talked about before, he had slew a lion and a bear in the same manner. Now, point 3, the enemy's own weapon. Now, here's the part that we must not miss. David didn't have a sword like we said before. But in 1 Samuel 17:51, it reads, "Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith." Did you catch that? David used the enemy's own weapon to finish the job. That's what our God does. He turns the enemy's tools into trophies of grace. What was meant to destroy you becomes your testimony. What the enemy forms against you becomes a platform for victory. The very attack that came to take you out, God can use it to lift you up. Isaiah 54:17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." But God never said the weapon wouldn't be formed. He just said it wouldn't work the way the enemy wants it to work. Now here's a public victory and a private preparation. David's victory wasn't about his slingshot. It was about his heart. And here's something that we can't miss. God could have used anyone else on that battlefield. There were hundreds there, maybe thousands, of trained soldiers that were already there. They had boots on the ground. They had armor. They had weapons. They had experience. And they looked the part. But God didn't use any of them. Why? Because He's not looking for the best dressed. He's looking for the most devoted. God doesn't anoint anyone by their appearance. He anoints them by obedience. In 1 Samuel 16:17 it says, "Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." He could have used David's brothers. We knew how impressive they looked. Even the priest wanted to don them king when he went to their house. But God had other plans. God could have used Saul. He was, in fact, the leader of God's chosen people on the battlefield. But everyone, even Saul, was struck with fear. And they were more concerned about losing their image than losing the battle. Are we like that today? Are we suited up in our church clothes but silent in the warfare, in the spiritual warfare? Do we show up at the battleground but never swing a sword or a sling? Do we carry the Bible but forget how to use it? It's not enough to look the part. You have to be obedient. You have to let your heart lead you. The heart is urging you to follow God. The question is, are you standing there scared, or are you willing to be the one that runs towards the enemy with God's help? And don't forget, this is a public victory that started with a private faith. David didn't become bold in the valley. He brought the boldness with him. He was confident every step of the way, even while he was traveling to the battlefield. He knew that God was with him. Sometimes when you're getting ready to get into the battle, you got to remember that God has always been on your side. David had already fought a lion and a bear in a secret place. Nobody else knew about it. He just had the testimony that he did it. People believed him. But most of all, he spent time with God in the presence, singing praise and worship songs with his harp. Harp, yeah, that's what I said. He played music for God in his own way. I'm sure it was beautiful, but sometimes we got to get alone and pour out our heart to God. Even if it sounds crazy to other people, it sounds good to God. Learn to trust God's voice in the pastures before we ever face a giant in a valley. You don't get valley victories without mountain devotions. You win the fight before you ever step onto the field. Through prayer, through worship, through knowing that God is your God. We got to know who He is and how He can go before us and fight the battle before we even get there. Point 5, the giant falls and the army rises. 1 Samuel 17:52 tells us, "And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines." One man's courage sparked a movement. When David took down Goliath, it awakened something in every soldier that was watching, and you know they were watching intensely. They were staring, wondering what was going to happen. They were probably in awe of David's quickness and his confidence of that sling, of the stone, and of God. That's all he talked about. God can do this. God can deliver me. God is my provider. God is my victory. So that is boiling over in their head as they're watching this battle take place. Your confidence in God should stand out to others. Your obedience should give others the courage to fight again. Your victory can cause someone else to rise up. Your faith can ripple through your family, your church, and your community. So here's my question to you. Are you standing on the edge of your own valley? Maybe the giant is fear. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it's insecurities, sicknesses, or spiritual weaknesses or weariness. You don't have to wait for the enemy to move. The enemy's already going to attack. He already wants to kill you, steal, and destroy you. Run towards it with the Word of God as your stone, with prayer as your sling, and with the Spirit of God in your heart. And when the giant falls, don't stop there. Finish that fight. Take back what the enemy tried to use against you and hold it up in victory. When David killed Goliath with his own sword, he held Goliath's head up for everyone to see that the enemy was dead, that he was the victor, that he was the one that killed that giant. That scared the enemy. That scared everyone that was looking up to this massive man that would have killed anybody else. But David let God do the work. The victory is in your ability to take the fight to the enemy. Let me tell you, giants still fall. But not for the hesitant, not for the spectators, the people cowering in the mountains, not for the doubters. Giants falls for those who run with faith and courage and with the power of God leading the way. This is Steve Kitts reminding you that the battle is not yours, but it's God's. 2 Chronicles 20:15. But God needs you to step onto the battlefield. Don't just believe in a victory, run towards it. Thank you for joining me on this episode of During Bible Study Podcast. I've been your host, Steve Kitts. Join me next time as we explore more of the Bible and get into it. God bless you. want to take a minute to talk to you about Buzzsprout. Today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new market or a channel, may I suggest that you share your thoughts and your ideas with the world. And it's just so fun to have a talk show. Podcasting is very easy, inexpensive, and a fun way to expand your reach online. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more within minutes of finishing each recording. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. And a team that they have at Buzzsprout is passionate in helping you succeed. They want you to succeed. Join with over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Let's go ahead and create something together. God bless you.